So why does Birmingham need a mayor?
Directly elected city mayors aren't the solution to every city's problems. So some cities will say no, and I will understand why they do so. In the case of Birmingham, what I've seen in the years I've been an MP is what decent, strong leadership can do, as we've seen in the late 80s and early 90s, and the damage and absence of strong leadership does, as I've seen over the last 10 years or so. So a directly elected mayor, i.e. a politician who's held accountable at the ballot box for the decisions made on behalf of the entire city, is something that Birmingham really needs.
So how will a directly elected mayor be accountable?
At the moment, if I stand for election as an MP, my constituency is a tenth of Birmingham. If I'm a councillor, and of course the council leader is an elected councillor, he or she gets elected on a ward which is 1 in 40. And what I think the difference will make is not a leader of the council selected and elected by a small number of councillors, but a city mayor who is a leader for the city of Birmingham, chosen by the entire population, but also sacked by the entire population if they no longer want him or her.
But do people really want a directly elected mayor?
If you go out and say to people, would you like a government? Do you want a prime minister? They'll probably say, oh, they're all the same. So there's always a bit of dichotomy. If you ask people, do you want a politician? The gut reaction of most people is no. But if you say to them, look, do you want to be able to fire the person who's in charge of your city and hire that person? It's not an extra layer of bureaucracy, because in a sense it is the leader of the council but with a different mandate and a slightly amended function. I think most people would rather have a say who's in charge of their city than not to have a say.
Are we not diluting, the value of parliamentary democracy?
I haven't heard that argument of that it undermines Parliament, but I have heard the argument that it undermines the strength of our councillors, and I think far from it. The problem with Birmingham wards, and we have wards where 3 councillors represent 1 ward, almost 20,000 voters. I don't know of any other local authorities where the wards are so big. And in a sense, they're too small to be strategic, but too large to be local. And therefore, I think a mayor in a city of the size of Birmingham will not be able to do a good job unless the councillors underneath them are strong, are given a certain element of independence in decision making, and the mayor just in a sense filling in the cracks, pulling the things together. So rather than undermining it, I think it strengthens it.
So Birmingham can sometimes be seen as a city that's slightly left behind. I mean, do you think a directly elected mayor for Birmingham will make it stand out?
Birmingham, I think, has lost a sense of its identity. It's lost the way of explaining itself. If I look back over the years, in the 70s and 80s, when the recession hit other cities, sometimes catastrophically, Birmingham was hit, but only marginally in a sense. It never was really gutted the way other cities were. But in the 80s, Birmingham started to find its sense again. We had the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra, we had expansions of our universities. There was an element of moving on, but that's been stalled and halted in the last 10 years. So I think the way Birmingham will change is that if anybody comes to Birmingham, we need to give them a reason why they will stay. And anybody who's not yet in Birmingham, we need to give them a reason why they want to come here.
Local politics is at the forefront of the election for the mayor.
It is local because the mayor is deeply local, and what's different about Birmingham is that if you are the mayor of Leicester and you have 60 councillors, it's much easier for you to bring together the disjointedness of national government locally, whereas what's been happening in Birmingham, where we've got 120 councillors and a population of over 1 million, we have replicated the mistakes central government makes by having decisions in chimneys and not marrying it up. And we need to break that through. So part of a successful mayor in Birmingham will not just saying we make decisions in the town hall, much more so we need to make decisions at a much more local level. And that may, in the case of, say, tenant-managed housing, may just be 4 or 5 tower blocks. In other areas, it may be a third of the city, but it will vary on the kind of decisions and how you need to devolve power. Because one of the real strong Labour principles in our history is that we've always been aware that the only purpose of having power is to give it away. and that will be the challenge for the mayor, to give it away and give it right to the right units.
If the mayor is the figurehead of Birmingham, will not there be more time about representing Birmingham than rather serving Birmingham?
I think it's rather tricky because we talk about a city mayor, but of course we all know about the Lord Mayor, and the Lord Mayor will stay. There is a function to be performed in the ceremonial representation of the city that has been and continue to be the Lord Mayor. The city mayor will be the politically accountable one, and I can also see a function of that. You may have some big figures in Birmingham who are very keen in business, who say, I tell you what, Mayor, I'll be your international ambassador, but the city mayor's role is to be here and pull things together.